So now that we know how we can actually use our grids to align things a little bit better inside of our artboard, I'm going to also show you the alignment and distribution features in XD, because more commonly we're going to be using those features in order to align our objects within our designs. In order to demonstrate, I'm just going to go ahead and click the A key on my keyboard and just draw another artboard here, just for the purpose of showing you how distribution and alignment works. You don't have to follow this step if you don't want to, but I do encourage it so that you get an understanding of how our alignment tools work. Now, using the R key, I'm going to use my rectangle tool to create some rectangles very randomly across my design. I'm going to create 5 rectangles, and I'm just going to go ahead and escape out of that rectangle tool, and by holding shift I'm going to go ahead and click all of my rectangles, and just so that you can see it better, I'm going to give them a gray fill right here. Cool. So now we have a bunch of rectangles that are all very unevenly spaced out throughout my artboard. So I'm going to just zoom in here so you can see it better. So first things first, if you have any one object selected, doesn't matter if it's a rectangle or a text box or anything like that, by using the Alt key on your keyboard, you can actually see the spacing of that object within your artboard. So for example, this rectangle here is 278 pixels from the top, 1185 pixels up from the bottom here, 511 pixels from the right, and 2551 pixels from the left. And you can repeat this process, so not only can you see the spacing between this object and its artboard, you can also see the spacing between this object and another object by simply holding Alt and hovering over different objects. So this way you can see what the spacing is between each different object. And as you kind of go through that, you'll notice that my objects are not evenly spaced at all. They're very randomly spaced out. So this is where our alignment features come in handy in XD. So by clicking and dragging and selecting all my shapes here, you do have to have all your shapes selected, or the ones that you want to align based on your artboard. And then using these tools over here, we can actually go ahead and try different alignment features. So the first one is align to top. So if I click this, XD will go ahead and align all of those rectangles to the most top layer between those objects. So if I just undo that, because the most top layer is this rectangle over here, within all of my selected rectangles or selected objects, XD will go ahead and push all of those rectangles to match this one over here, since this one's at the most top. Similarly, if I do this one right here, it will go ahead and do the same thing, but in the middle of my entire parent box over here. So we'll go ahead and vertically align them to the middle. If I undo that and do the bottom align, it will go ahead and do very similarly what it's done with align top, but to the bottom, to the most bottom object there, which was this one right here. Using this option, I can go ahead and distribute all of my objects horizontally. So that means XD will go ahead and create even spacing between all of my objects. So now if I actually click one and check the spacing by holding Alt, I can see it has a 450 pixel spacing roughly between each object. And now if I select them all back again by just dragging across all objects here, I can also do a very similar thing called distribute vertically. So that will go ahead and actually distribute all my objects vertically so that they have a similar kind of vertical spacing between each other. Now these are the horizontal alignments. So align left will go ahead and align all of my objects to the most left side of that parent selection over there. So this entire kind of parent view that we have of all of our objects, the most left point would be here. So we'll go ahead and push everything to that point over there. If I do middle, I'll go ahead and push everything to the middle of that box. And then, as you'd expect with align right, everything will be aligned to the most right object within my selection. So again, one thing to note is that everything is being aligned relative to what you have selected. So if I do have only these, let's say 3 objects selected, then these features are going to work differently depending on what I have selected. Now, what if you want to actually just align all of these, the entire selection here horizontally within my artboard? Well, if I select all of them together and drag, by default, XD will snap into place when I'm at the middle horizontally, and then similarly when we're at the middle vertically as well. So now this entire parent container is aligned to the middle of my artboard, both vertically and horizontally. And so that's your alignment and distribution in XD. In the next lecture, we're going to come back and explore some of our wireframe UI kits that will make designing a lot easier in XD.